Hey everybody, Destin just released this, and I thought I would check it out and record my reaction and see if there's any good news coming out of this. So let's check it out.
So, yesterday we were talking about this amazing Verge interview where Phil Spencer sat down and talked about how he sees mobile gaming as a great way to expand the Xbox business. We talked about how they see subscriptions, why Starfield was delayed, etc., etc. Today we're going to dive in on Keystone, how Phil feels about the regulations and the conversation that he's had with regulators in the Call of Duty Activision deal, and the longer term business strategy for the company. Let's dive in right now.
This should be interesting.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you don't miss the videos. I'm trying to do a video a day again, so be sure to hit subscribe and you will know what is going on. So, we're going to continue where we left off, and we're going to talk about the regulators and how they've been reacting to the deal. The leading question that the interviewer had was about uh, the process of getting this deal approved. I was looking at some reporting yesterday to prepare for this interview. It sounds like the Activision side of this deal is saying, just do whatever the regulators want and close the deal so we can get paid out and go away. The regulators are saying, we want to
I mean, of
impose all
course,
of those conditions on you. Most
why
notably,
not?
Sony is making a lot of noise about Call of Duty and how long it will stay on the PlayStation. Are you
Okay, this whole pulling COD off of PlayStation or not, I think is stupid. I think freaking out about it and worrying about it is stupid. I think it would be stupid for Microsoft to pull it off of there. COD is one of those games that, one of the only games that is available on damn near every platform. It's got a massive fan base on every platform that it's available on, and nobody cares about the monetization of it because it's expected. So I really don't think anybody who's that worried about COD being pulled from PlayStation, I think that's just a waste of your time if you're worried about that.
prepared to make the concession that regulators might want to close the deal? I have not sat down with a regulator where they have proposed any regulations. I think that people are purporting to report in the press about what's happening is maybe more rumor and hearsay. I have said specific to Call of Duty on PlayStation and Switch because I would love to see them on both, and I don't want to make this about just one of our console competitors. That it's something that we want to do. It's in our models when we think about how this plays out over time. The financials of Activision is that Call of Duty would stay on PlayStation. We are definitely open to discussions with either Sony or regulators about making sure that continues to happen in a way that they want to see. So basically, he's saying we're ready for the consent decree. We're not going to offer anything on a silver platter, but we're prepared for those things to come in the near future. And when they do, we'll figure out how and what we want to agree to. But they seem to have no hesitance whatsoever to having Call of Duty remain on PlayStation for the near future. He continues.
Now, I will say, I mean, obviously having the rights to that and to be able to pull that, I mean, that's a huge card that can be played, you know, at any time outside of any sort of contractual agreement. So I do think it's scary. I understand that it would be scary for Sony or Nintendo or whatever other platforms it's on. It could be scary, but I think with all of the push from Microsoft to bring everyone together, to do crossplay, to minimize exclusives to each platform, I just think it would be a huge step backwards for them to play that card.
Continues on. When I think about where we are in Activision Blizzard King and the regulatory work, I think we should be analyzing whether we are going to harm players. Is there a world where players have less choice in the market, or is there some kind of blocking that we do? We are committed to continuing to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation. We are People are worried about that, We are committed to putting these games in Game Pass, which gives people more options in how they want to go play these games. Nobody has presented to me a case that shows how Game Pass is bad for customers.
Well,
and he's absolutely right. I don't think anybody can actually come up with a compelling argument that says Game Pass is bad.
No.
We've heard so
No,
many
not at all.
success stories from developers
Not even
who
one.
wouldn't have had their game made, like the Tunic developer, who also ended up releasing on PlayStation just months later. He was able to get the money he needed to finish that game and then release it on a competing platform. And that's great. It's just great to see these continued success stories happen.
That's another thing that I think is off to the side that people think, or that people don't really think about, is that when you first look at Game Pass as a value, you look at it as a consumer. What am I getting out of it for the money that I'm putting into it? There's a whole nother business side of Game Pass, and that is making a platform accessible for indie devs who might need a little extra support. Which is, what's the bad side to that? What bad side can you come up with? Tell me in the comments. I want any comments from anybody who can come up with a good point of why Game Pass would be bad.
He continues on, though. No, we have lawyers. I will have discussions with them about approaches. I always come back to, how does this impact our players, speaking of the merger, our customers, and even customers on other platforms? We're committing, and I'll do it publicly, we are going to ship games on PlayStation if that's where the focus is. And he's talking about Call of Duty, right? I have to imagine that not all games are a concern for PlayStation or Xbox. But Call of Duty seems to be the one that everybody is focusing in on and concerned about. So he's laying it on the table. He's like, I'll say it here publicly. We will continue to release Call of Duty on the PlayStation console for as long as we can. They can't sign that in perpetuity, as he outlines in this article, but basically, yeah, that's what he says. They want it to come to...
I think that as long as we can bit at the end there, I think that's just a cover your own ass thing, right? You don't give the expectation of we will never pull it, because then when you do, it all falls back on you. If for whatever reason in the future things go south with Sony, with Activision, and they decide, you know what, we're not gonna hold back now. You know, you've dug your grave, now you have to lay in it. And they pull it. You know, you're not going to have the entire internet coming back at you saying, well, when all of this started, you specifically said that you would never under any circumstances pull this. So I think it's just verbiage there at the end when they talk about, you know, how long they can go not removing it from PlayStation.
PlayStation, because that's where they make all their money, long and short of it, right? Now, what's really fun is we actually get a little bit of insight into the Keystone console that was up on his shelf. And he talks about what happened with Keystone. Keystone, it was more expensive than we wanted it to be when we actually built it out with the hardware that we had inside. We decided to focus that team's effort on delivering the smart TV streaming app. It was really just a direction. Okay, we're going to focus our effort on our partnership with Samsung and where that app might continue to show up in different places over time. With Keystone, we were still focused on and watching when we can get it to the right cost. When you have this Series S at $299, and during the holidays you might see some price promotions, and you obviously have Series X higher, I think in order for a streaming-only box to make sense, the price delta to S has to be pretty significant. I would imagine, like, it has to be $50 versus $250, right?
Yeah.
It continues on. I want to be able to include a controller in it. When we go do that, it was really just about whether we could build the right product at the right price, or if we couldn't, how could we focus the team's effort? We decided to do the TV app with Samsung, and we're really happy with the results there. The Samsung gaming app, I actually got to play it at an event, I believe it was Keeley's thing earlier this year, or at some time, I can't even remember. I think it was this summer. It was like the sort of E3 replacement. It's surprisingly great. So if you do get one of those fancy new Samsung televisions, I'd love to hear your home experience. I am hoping that we get to try it out here at my house soon, so that I can make a video over on IGN about how that works. But
That'd be cool.
will tell. In that environment, though, it was awesome. So what is the right price on Keystone? I don't want to.
My honest opinion would be that Microsoft is going to absolutely nail cloud gaming before anybody else. They already have a decent cloud gaming platform, I would say. Microsoft just has the platform already. They already have the foundation. All they have to do is jack it up and roll it out. And they are working on it, you know. From what I've seen in the last few years, I mean, I would say that Xbox, Microsoft goes for the long-term wins. Sony comes out, they sell more consoles, they have more exclusives every year. They start to taper off after a while. It doesn't help that you can't get the consoles anyway, but they start to taper off after a while. Unless your exclusive game is an MMO or something, some awesome live service game that's going to last a while, the exclusives are great, but they will also taper off. Microsoft is putting their investments into hardware, into software, into the equipment and the platform. They're building the platform where I feel like Sony is just worried about banger games, you know, but games only last for so long. So I think on that side, Microsoft, I think, has the upper hand. I just feel like they're way more forward thinking than Sony is. But that's just me.
Announce anything, I don't want to announce pricing specifically, but I think you have to be somewhere around $129, $99 for that to make sense in my view. I said 50, but I'm cheap. We just weren't there with the controller. I love the effort. The reason it's on my shelf is because the team rolled up their sleeves, and in 9 months they built that thing. A bunch of us took it home, and it worked. It worked really,
Nice.
really well. When you are building new
That's so
products, it's
awesome.
always about, do you have the right design? Do you have the right user interface? Do you have the right customer proposition?
UI is super
That
important.
customer proposition includes the price, and I think all of us knew that we were a little out of position on price.
Doesn't matter
So
how
when you're
good your
priced
hardware is.
higher
If
than
your UI is
$129, you
absolute
have to imagine
fucking
that
trash, then
$200, it's just too
nobody's
much.
gonna
And people
enjoy
are
it.
going to bulk at it, and they're not going to purchase it. And then you've put in all this R&D into a product that ends up failing massively, and then that's bad PR. You know, so granted it's cool, but if you don't price it right, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Now they talk a little bit about long-term business strategy here. I think all of that's important to build a long-term business strategy. Let's give you a little bit more context. They talk a lot about, it seems like the whole tech industry is in a period of retrenchment. We have seen that some companies are starting to do layoffs, and that some companies are starting to do hiring freezes, and we're heading
Everybody
into a holiday
is.
quarter. Even in the games industry, Google said, you know what, we're not going to work on Stadia anymore. So his response was, I think all this is important to build long-term business.
I think that
strategies
was
for
a.
business success. That means customers can bet.
I don't think Stadia was as much of an economic issue as being a piece of shit issue.
That Xbox will be here today, it'll be here tomorrow, and it'll be here into the future. And that the teams that are working here can understand that they work in a stable place that is a long-term commitment from Microsoft. Granted, Microsoft did lay off like 1,000 people recently. I don't believe it was in the gaming department. That is a thing that happened, so I have to imagine there is a little fear built around that.
Yeah.
I think there is nothing more fundamental to my job than building out a stable business strategy, a people strategy with the people that work on the team, and ensuring that the business strategy leads to financial success so that we can continue to invest in this category. So his goal is to create a good business model and continue building
For
great
long term.
things for Xbox. That's all I have time for you today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know
That
when
was
my
good.
content goes
Go
live.
check out
I
Destin's
really
channel.
appreciate you
Um,
watching, and I appreciate the members.
I've
for hanging
ever
out.
since I
have
started
a
playing
video
Destiny.
that you can check
That's
out
where
yesterday's
I
video
saw
if you
on
didn't get a link
Fire
to
Team
it
Chat.
at the end. We went through the first half of this article.
And
It's a fantastic article.
I've followed him
from
since then.
the
And,
Verge, and click that join button. If you
he's
want to remember. I'm gonna get out of
he
here.
keeps up
See
on
you
things.
next
I
time.
feel
Bye
like
for now,
he
everybody.
puts out some good news and puts out good updates. So go check him out. And if you liked this, this was breaking into some React content. I watch a lot of YouTube, so I figure I might as well record myself doing it and give my opinions, because why not? But if you like this, give it a like, subscribe. I plan on pumping out more content as much as I can and coming up with different things to do. I still don't know the exact direction I want to take my channel in, but I love video games. I love entertainment and consuming content, so I'll just regurgitate some of that and try to come across my own. And thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.